Welcome to October 7th, 2021 meeting of the Hingham Historic Districts Commission. This meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to an order issued by the Governor of Massachusetts dated March 12, 2020, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. We have 5 items on the agenda today. Everyone has the agenda. Are there any commission members with any conflicts?
No.
Okay, Daniel. Daniel, you're on mute. But I'm assuming you're saying Faring Road.
I'm a butter to both of the Faring Road properties, correct?
Anyone else? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
may I make an announcement?
Sure.
I was going to try to not say anything, but I can't make it dark enough in the room to illuminate.
Oh, poor
Everybody
Carol.
know, I had an encounter with a driveway and lost. And I'm fine now that my sight is back and the stitches are healing. But I look a little like a raccoon tonight. Sorry, everybody, everything's fine.
Oh, you look fine.
Yeah.
Glad you're doing all right.
Thanks.
Okay. First item is 28 Faring Road. I think this is coming back to us because of a zoning issue. Voting members would be Carol, Catherine, Justin, Michael, and myself. 3 Home Meadows Lane is a new project. We've seen a portion of this site before, but this is a new project. And again, voting members would be Carol, Catherine, Justin, Michael, and myself. 349 Main Street. We've seen this before, but it's a new application to replace the windows. And again, the voting members would be Carol, Catherine, Justin, Michael, myself. 38 Lincoln Street. This is a new one, right, Andrea?
Yeah.
Yep. Place existing porch, some new footings. Voting members will be Carol, Catherine, Justin, Michael, and myself. And continuation of 38 Faring Road. And the voting members, Carol, Catherine, Justin, Michael, and myself. I think that is it. We can get started at 28 Faring Road.
Tracy, can I ask for clarification on why I wouldn't be a voting member for the 3 that aren't Faring Road?
I'm just looking that up.
You
Is
know,
Daniel a voting member now?
yes, he is. I'm
Okay.
sorry, Tracy. I should have clarified that. So
Okay.
the
So then
ones that,
for 3 Home Meadows Lane, 349 Main Street, and 38 Lincoln, we would have Daniel in lieu of Michael be a voting member. Sorry, Daniel.
No worries.
All right. 28 Faring Road. So we have a,
Yes, I can. Would you like me to present? I can for the Hansens, Sally Weston, Sally Weston Associates. We have been before you a few months ago with a barn for the Hansens, and I came to historic first because I wanted to do that before I went to zoning. I have to say it was the first time I've been rejected from zoning. We have done numerous projects like this in the past where we did not meet the side yard setbacks, but were allowed to add a second floor. But zoning is not allowing that anymore. So we are back in front of you. to present a different design. What we are proposing now is to leave the left side of the garage, the existing garage, and to the 15-foot setback, and then proposing a 2-story addition to that meets front, right, left, front, and rear yard setbacks, an addition of 14 by 28 feet. The materials and things would be, match the home. I think you can see we have a little sketch on sheet S1.1 that shows what the little building would look like, and of course we have elevations too. But the eave details, the little pigeon ledges we call them, that the turning of the gutter and things would mimic the house. And then again, I think you can see that on A2.1 that we are trying to match the details of the house. So again, on the left-hand side, the garage would stay basically.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can Sally or Andrea share the screen?
Sure, I'm working on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going
That's
on and
okay.
on.
I can do this. That's okay. I'm working on it.
I thought you maybe all had drawings in front of you. I apologize. And
Not a problem. I just have to,
I wish I could do it, Andrea, but I haven't figured it out yet. So.
not a problem. Hopefully I can. So working on it. So we've got, here we go.
But Sally, just to clarify, the only difference, is it that the sidewall is getting further away from the property line, or is it also that it looks like there's a 1-story first floor pitching up to 2-story over the garage? Like the fence and everything, your application has fence, all of that's been approved previously, correct? We're only talking about the barn.
Right. Well, I think Sean had a little trellis that Sean Papich is on too.
Yep.
And he can fill you in on, just a little bit of landscaping that I think Andrea asked him to come for. But when Andrea gets the drawing up, again, we had a 1.5-story barn that we had proposed and historic approved. And we thought it was a nice complement to the house and to the neighborhood. But again, zoning has changed their, there has been much precedent of allowing this kind of thing, but now they have changed. So again, what we're proposing is to basically leave the existing barn or garage to the 15-foot setback, basically cutting it in half, if you will, and then adding a little addition to the right side that will meet all the setbacks.
Is this the old one? No,
That's the
not
wrong
it.
project.
That's the next one. Boy, I'll tell you,
That house though.
a nice house. Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm trying again. So I
SK1.1.
apologize. I apologize.
SK 1.1.
Am working on it. Let's see here.
I probably should have included in the package the original design, but
Well, here's
going
what
for- so
I've got the hardscape plan. Ah, here we go. Yay. All right. So now I just have to get it to you. All right, here we go. Ta-da. Yeah?
there you go.
Okay, good.
So that is the little sketch that we're proposing. So as you see on the left, that is really half of the existing garage. And where the new addition starts would be the 15-foot setback. And then the width of this new little building would be 14 feet by 28 feet, meeting all the setbacks required. So the left-hand side would, house the garage, and then the right-hand side would be, an exercise space and then an office above. Again, trying to match the details of the existing house, the sort of roof pitch, the eave details and rake details, and like I said, the little pigeon ledges. The windows are 2 over 2 with a shutter, new garage door on the left, and kind of mimicking a garage door on the right. We did put in on sheet A 2.3. Well, that's the little section of the existing garage. So, but that's the floor plans. So there'd be a garage on the left, which is the existing part of the old garage, and then the part on the right would be the new addition. And if you look on, if you look on A 2.1, you will see the front elevation.
Garage
Basically, that left side is
up
what's
on Fearing
existing.
Road. This is the
Yeah.
garage. This is going to be an exercise space with an office over it.
And then on sheet A 2.3, just so the neighbor knows, because I know they had concerns, is that we are leaving that one existing window, and then there'll be no other windows to their side. We've left all windows off on that side. So the Hansens will have privacy, the neighbors will have privacy to that space. Again, all the details match the house. And I guess that's all I can tell you. We did do the other side elevation, but I'm not sure anybody really sees that from the street. But again, matching details, 2/2 windows, trying to, I think there's a great little example of this right on Lincoln Street. There's a little red barn with a little lean-to that looks kind of similar to this. So, this meets the zoning requirement, and we hope that historic will look favorably on this. Again, I think the Hansens would have liked the 1.5-story barn, but I think this will work too, and be complementary to the streetscape.
Sean, do you want to address the?
Sure, I can do that. Sean Papich with Sean Papich Landscape Architecture, and that's 222 North Street in Hingham, for the record. And so for the fence is what you've got on the drawing there. Thank you, Andrea. The Hansens currently have a fence that's a 6-foot tall fence on the rear and side property line, essentially rear and kind of north side property line. There's a board fence with a picket topper. So you'll see a picture in the upper right-hand corner. It says existing fence. So they're continuing that on the north side where you turn back toward the house on the north side, which is the top of the page. They're continuing that same exact cedar board fence with the topper and with a double gate. And then they were also going to continue it on the, call it the south side, the narrow side of the garage, just to continue the same exact style. We have to be 6 foot tall for the pool. So in Hingham, you have to be 6 feet tall. So that's really going to be the same style of fence. And then currently between the carriage house and the house, there is a picket fence. So there was a picket fence. You can see some existing conditions of the other picket fences there. And we're proposing to go up to 6 feet with those and still be a more open picket like you see there. And the one thing that the Hansens wanted to do was at their gate, they want to do a single arbor. It's not a,
They're doing
it's
this.
a,
This is the
it's a
guide.
single post on each side. It's a single post on each side of it,
Sean
but it doesn't.
Papich is talking about like the fencing. And
I think somebody
got
is
their
talking
mic
and
on.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you could just mute yourself, please.
So the arbor itself will be 4 foot in width. It'll be again, a single post on each side. It's not going to have great depth to it. It'll just match at the fences and have a one singular arch above it, essentially. So it doesn't have a large depth to it. It's not like a 4-post arbor. It's relatively small in nature, but I think with that being a little bit of a feature, Andrea felt like it would make sense for us to come in front of you for that. I believe you may have already approved the other fences, but to be honest, I can't remember. The other thing we're doing is with the pool equipment fence, we're taking a board fence there to screen the pool equipment, which really just matches the lower portion of the existing fences there. So it's really the same thing. It's a vertical board, just matching the lower without the picket top, just to screen the pool equipment that you see on the north side of the house. But that covers pretty much everything that we're showing for the fences and gates. Thank you.
There any neighbors or abutters that would like to make any comments?
Mr. Chair, Walter Sullivan, an attorney in Norwell, representing the abutters, the Coopers at 24 Fearing Road. So they followed this very closely. Obviously, this is very close to their property, and they're mindful now that the line isn't changing on the right side, but obviously it's getting much taller. So they're concerned about the massing. And so just as a point of order, we know that they went for a variance before the ZBA after they left here last time. We're not clear exactly what zoning relief they will also need here.
There is no zoning relief. We meet all the height restrictions, setback restrictions. There would be no relief.
So I think we would probably disagree, as it would appear to be an exacerbation of a pre-existing non-conforming structure. So some relief, perhaps a special permit under 48 Section 6 should be required.
We do have to go back to zoning and get the approval of leaving the garage as it is. But we're not asking for any special variance or anything. I came to Historic to get their approval first. I don't see how this addition in any way hurts your neighbor. Your client actually has a garage barn that is very similar to this, that does not meet either the left side yard setback nor the rear yard setback. So we have, now met every setback that we need to, and leaving the garage as it is. So we don't, and again, not putting any windows in so that your neighbors have their privacy. So we feel like we have really done a service to your clients in trying to do everything that we can to appease them. So
Thank you. And Chair, I'm wondering what is the height of the new structure?
Sally, I can go to the sheet that has the,
I can tell you. I'm sorry. I should know it off the top of my head, and I don't. It's about 25 and a half feet tall. Height restriction in Hingham is 35 feet. So to the average, from grade to average roof height. So we're well below.
so Sally, this is the side that would face the Coopers. Is that correct?
And again, we left just one window in the existing garage, and put no windows on that side facing them, because they were concerned about their privacy.
Hi, Sally. Catherine here. This plan is different from the previous plan in that the whole second level is approximately how much farther over? I know there was concerns of the neighbor about a big wall there, but that wall has been dissipated because of the garage is currently, as it stands, that roof line is staying, correct?
Right. So it's almost like we're going to take the garage and cut it in half and then put this addition on, and the addition would start at the 15-foot setback, which is the zoning requirement in
Yeah.
this area.
Thank you.
Mhm. So that section shows it quite well, that we're basically going to cut that garage in half, and you can see where the 15-foot setback is. We're going to, cut the roof off and put the new addition on.
Sally, in terms of the height, you mentioned the new one here is 25 foot 6 inches to the ridge. Do you know what the height differential is between this version and the previous version we saw?
Oh, geez. I could find that for you. I'd have to get it in the drawer, but I think the old one was about that same height. The story and a half. Do you want me to find it? I can, if you.
I think it would be helpful for the context of the conversation regarding the height in the mass.
Andrea, are we talking about, what should we do here? Are we kind of commingling the landscape and also the structure, or are we going to do one and then the other? What do you want to do?
I think the structure first, and then, the landscape is a smaller portion of this.
Yeah. Okay, so the old one was 23 feet, and this one is 25 and a half, so about 2.5 feet taller.
Thank you.
Yep.
Chairman? Tracy?
Sorry, I was on mute. Go ahead, Carol.
That's okay. I just wanted to ask Sally, I think this is very clever and accomplishes what you had hoped to. I think it's an improvement over even the last version that you brought to us. My eye goes to the little Prince's balcony off the second level. To me, this looks like a modified old antique barn that goes appropriately with the house and has all the same architectural features and so forth. But the little balcony stands out as odd. And on that side of the garage, you've got lots and lots of glass. Looking out at the pool, that room's going to be very sunny, both up and down. And I'm just wondering, how necessary is the little balcony?
I think it was just, a nice feature to be able to open, because we have doors on the second floor, to be able to open the doors and, overlook the backyard. The side walls could certainly be clapboard or shingles or something like that versus an open railing. I'm not sure, honestly, Sean probably could even tell you better how much you're really going to see that, because he may be doing plantings that would cover part of that balcony too. So.
And then my other question to you was, at first glance, I thought it's a 2-car garage with an addition on top. And then you get closer and you realize those are windows across the right side and you've got seating inside there. Again, you have a lot of light coming into the room. Do you really need that to be windows, or could that match the other garage doors? So it look like 2 old barn doors.
I'm sorry, Carol, which side are you talking about?
The new side on the right.
Okay, let me just get to that so we
We're
can
looking
see.
at it. Oops. There.
No, but there's a,
we tried to set it back. It's actually a double.
here it is.
Yeah, the front,
That's-
I think.
That's the side.
2.1, Andrea.
One. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it
It
actually
makes
is,
it look like a little house with a little one-car garage on the side rather than a two-car garage with an addition on top.
yeah. I think, you know, that is recessed back, and we were going to paint that dark like the door, so that I think from far away, I'm not sure you can even really know that there's windows there, because it's set back. It's not on the same plane as the garage doors. It's actually set back another wall thickness.
I must
To
have
kind
looked at that wrong. I thought the garage is set back, but not the new right side.
the garage,
Right side sits forward.
yes, it is. It's just that I don't know if I can, let's see, if you look on
A 1.1 shows it.
you can see that the windows are actually set back a wall thickness. So they're kind of in shadow. You know, we were trying to make it look like it was another garage door by setting it back a little bit in shadow. And then, you know, we were paneling the bottom so it kind of mimicked the garage door, but just having windows there.
You're talking about setting back like 3 inches or something?
About 5.5 inches, yeah.
Okay, so where the car goes into the garage, that's set back maybe 3 feet behind the
Yes.
right side addition.
Yes, but then if you look at the right-hand side, you'll see that there's, where the windows are set, it's a double wall. So we were setting that wall back a little bit to try to create a shadow line. So when everything is painted dark, like the garage doors, we were thinking it would just kind of disappear. And if you look at the front elevation, we were even, the bottoms of the windows, we were actually mimicking the paneling of the garage door. So that all kind of felt like, you know, it might have been an old garage door that had windows in it or something. So, you know, again, it's architectural detail, just, you know, trying to do an aesthetic that kind of mimics the garage door, but isn't a garage door. So,
Why mimic it? Why not just do 2 garage doors? You need all that light in there, is that what you're saying? The glass?
they were trying to get as much light. They don't have any light on the left-hand side, and we don't have any light in the back. So, you know, to have 2 sides of glass was just a nice thing. So,
I think the treatment of the right-hand side is quite effective. It looks like it was a converted garage to a little house at one point, but it's got a very charming and appropriate feel. I agree with Carol on the balcony. I'm wondering if that could be made a little less deep and maybe have some kind of bracket underneath to tie it back to the structure.
Kind of dangling out there.
we just
Well-
turned it into a bracket. I mean, we've done brackets before, and we'd be happy to do that. So.
I have a question, Sally. Did the first building that we approved, did that have a little balcony on the side?
No.
I think sorry, you'd think I'd remember this, but
You work on a lot of projects.
we actually, if we had a bump out, and we did have like a little deck up there. Yes, we did. Yeah.
Do you want me to bring that up?
Sure.
Okay.
There was actually, you know, like building space below it, but again, I'd be happy to put a bracket under this. I you know, we probably should have done that in the first place, but
Could it be just a teeny, even 6 inches to a foot less deep would make a big difference too. I think it does seem to project, and unfortunately we can't consider planting to hide
Yeah,
structures.
it's
Sally, I can jump in.
Can you see this?
Yeah,
Or is it, you can see this? This was the original one?
doesn't
Yeah.
show.
yeah, there's a balcony right there to
Right
the right.
there.
Yeah.
I think the difference is there's structure below in this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the other one is just sort of hanging out there, and this one has got structure below.
So we
What
could,
about the kind of balcony that's only, 18 inches deep? You use it so that you can open your sliding doors, but not really meant to sit out there. Would that give basically the same effect?
not really, because then you can't sit out there. The point was it could have a little chair or something to look at the yard. I think that Hanson's would have to chime in here and see.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm okay with a shallower balcony. That's fine.
Again, it's only 4 feet, so you think that's almost a tabletop, you know, it's not huge.
I think other than that, the addition, the new proposal is quite appropriate to the style of the home and gives a sense of evolution to the outbuilding. And I would only just make that quick comment on the balcony.
Yeah, I agree with Catherine.
Michael, Daniel, any comments?
Yeah, I just have one question or point of clarification from Sally. Is if you go to A 2.2, Andrea, the next page.
Sure.
I'm not sure if I'm just looking at the lines wrong in the drawing, but is between the second and first floor there, is there a flare out kind of like more like a shingle style? Is that intentional or is that just the drawing?
No, it was intentional to make it so
Okay.
it's so tall.
Okay. Just curious because then I didn't see it. It didn't show up that way on 2.1 necessarily. I was just curious for clarity what the intent was.
I guess maybe we didn't draw the flare, but it is on 2.1. It kind of goes above the garage or the door, or I should say the windows to emulate the door. But it does a little bit, you know, there is that line there you can see that kind of the line that goes, yes, right
Yep.
there.
Okay.
I have no further comments or questions.
Okay. Catherine, did you have any comments on the fencing?
Oh, I did have a quick question. The it looks like, Sean, it looks like this is a new pool, right?
New pool, yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
So I just noticed that there's a location for the pool equipment to the right of the home is in
Yes.
front of the fence line. And I'm wondering if there's any way that could fit behind the garage. Would that be okay with zoning so that
Yeah.
doesn't?
Now, pool equipment cannot be in setbacks, in building setbacks, and it is, so it has to meet the setbacks, which is just like the pool itself,
Gotcha. Okay. Thank
like
you.
air conditioners. Thank you.
John, what's behind the pool equipment building? Is that a little patio area? Or is it-
Are you talking about just above
Here?
the, just, are you
No.
talking about to the left
No.
of the pool equipment, left of the pool equipment?
Left, yeah,
Yeah.
there.
Yep,
Whoops, that
That's
thing.
that's a spa, that's a hot tub.
Oh,
It's screened off by the fences.
it won't show it off in the
Correct.
street.
Mr. Chairman, I wonder if Mr. Sullivan has any further comments?
No, I think just, you know, it's, my clients remain concerned about the massing and they think that this is a rather condensed neighborhood already and obviously very close to their line. And it seems to me that this is an exacerbation of a pre-existing condition. So, but I'm not sure that's an issue for this board.
Agreed.
Right.
Definitely not.
I can make a motion if people are ready.
If you're prepared to that motion, could we have Sally suggest where to dimension the extent of the deck? You know, how wide the deck is
So
and which drawing to mark that on.
I thought I heard Sally say it's about 4 feet. Is that clear inside the rail?
No, that's out to out.
That's out to out. So with the rail,
Yeah,
it's
only
going to be
3.5.
just over 3.5 by an inch or so. You know, I think grounding it with a bracket or something is a good recommendation that can be included. You know, and even though the owner is open to shortening that, I'd be okay with letting it up to their discretion. I mean, 3.5 feet usable space is not is not much, but
Yeah, I think a bracket would help. I think I kind of inadvertently forgot it, but I think it would be nice, and it would add a little detail to it. And I think kind of like you say, ground it. So.
Yeah, I think that would be fine by me.
okay. So go ahead, Catherine, if you want to make a motion.
Okie doke. I'd like to make a motion for a certificate of appropriateness for 28 Fearing Road. For, let's see, changes to a previous approved plan for a garage. This plan, should I just give you the date on the drawings? Dated, so approved drawings will be 9/30/2021. And so then we're going to do a separate approval for the landscaping, or are we putting all this together?
I just put it all together.
Okay. And also landscape plans also submitted on the same day. All the materials and the like are going to be like the previous application, similar and exact as the previous application. On this tricky one, I'm like all over the place. And do I need anything else, anybody?
You want to mention some type of grounding of the balcony?
Oh yeah. The application, what's not reflected in this application is some brackets underneath the balcony on the right-hand side of the new proposed 2-story garage.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Michael, how do you vote?
Aye.
And that's an aye for me. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
In favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, 3 Home Meadows. New dwelling and pool.
Mark, are you you going to be presenting?
Yeah, we can present the graphics, Andrea.
That would be great. Thank you.
Here with you. And I don't know, Jeff, did you want to open with a comment and then I'll?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. Jeff Toccio here, working with the trustee, the Brewer family. What we've got here this evening is Mark Couture is here. Also, I believe Doug Mills may be here as well. Scott Golding from my office. We understand that Kate and Kevin Caulfield should be on, and they're going to be proposed owners. And then also I understand that Marion Brewer is on as well. So with that, if we could start with Mark, we'd appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Sure. Thank you, everybody. I met many of you, if not all of you, at the application that we had presented for the original structure on this property at what is now 0 Home Meadows. And again, my name is Mark Couture from MCA here in Nantucket. We've been working probably for a good 1.5 years with the Caulfields, Kate and Kevin, on this property. It's a challenging one. This is a lot that was newly created from the original Brewer property. Once it's subdivided, there's a newly created 2-acre lot. And the Caulfields have worked with us to design what'll be a new primary dwelling for them and their young family. So it's an interesting lot. I think many of you walked parts of this property when we were doing our site review next door. And as you might recall, it has a significant grade change, certainly from west to east. It actually goes from a high of 77 feet to a low of about 20 feet. So that presented a challenge in itself. We then, working closely with the Crocker Design Group, to really find a sweet spot on the property where we're going to be able to site the home. In addition to that, we have ledge on the property. We need to accommodate obviously septic fields and on-site drainage. By the time we went through that exercise and a lot of design and back and forth with the homeowners or the to-be homeowners, our clients, we sort of defined a building envelope, which really dictated where the house was to be sited on the property. And it will sit at about 120 feet back from Home Meadows, sort of at the center of the larger portion of the lot, if you will. And then everything sort of slopes westward, upward from them. So we've used, as creatively as we can, a series of these retaining walls to develop a buildable footprint to accommodate the structure itself. Generally speaking, the home, we tried to, it's a larger home, but we tried to scale it so it is indeed harmonious with sort of the greater context. Home Meadows, as you know, is a sort of a street of mid-century ranch style homes. We're really drawing from something larger outside the district, or I should say outside the street itself within the district, trying to draw from some of the more historic elements and speak to that, obviously, versus the immediate context. Obviously, this lot is unique in itself for Home Meadows being significantly larger and can accommodate a larger proposal. In our review, we did look at neighboring properties, and we found several of the neighboring structures are actually a bit larger than the one we have proposed before you this evening. In terms of the massing, we were trying to be sensitive to. I'm still on. Let's see. 1 sec. We'll bring the graphics up. Pardon.
And while you're bringing that up, I was just wondering about those indications on the drawing, the blue aqua colored lines, looks like view angles, 1, 2, 3.
In the original submittal, Justin, at I think the back of the package, there are photographs that we provided if you hadn't been on site. And so those are referencing those photographs where we were standing when we took those photographs to just give you a sense of where, you know, those angles are from.
Perfect. Thank you.
So, sorry. Oh, sorry. I'm going to back up. We're going to get to the renderings. They're from the rendering views, but we also, from the photographs 1 and 2 are taken from the street. So they're similarly shot. So getting back to, I was speaking a little bit about massing, and here are the photographs of the existing context. You can see the original home in the bottom right image in the bottom photograph. This house is proposed on the lot goes certainly way up the hill, but it will be sort of nestled within the existing grove of trees, and the view from street looking west, the center image is probably the most accurate if you were looking straight on at our proposal. Getting back to massing, and maybe, Doug, what we do is we jump to renderings. I think might be most useful. So. In an effort not to make the home appear too large, we broke the mass down. So trying to present a more traditional mass at the front. That's approximately a little under 2,800 square feet of mass at the front, gross. Its footprint being closer to about 1,300 square feet, actually. And that's sort of the white clapboard mass you're seeing at the front. And the additional living pieces that we added to the home, we tried to break off and treat them as almost ancillary structures in themselves attached to this mass. And in sort of in a creative way, sort of allowing the structure to sort of walk up the hill slightly, work with the contours. In the bottom right image, you can actually see the main living wing is sort of almost a barn-like structure that tears off to the north of the mass, or left in your rendering. And then to further that, we tried to treat the front mass that would face onto Home Meadows very traditionally. It's a white clapboard of cedar, all trimmed wood shuttered. We are using a fixed SDL window as proposed, black sashed. It is an asphalt roof with a dual black color. Trim is a white on white. And again, trying to keep with sort of the general aesthetic of Hingham in itself. Retaining walls, which will be necessary in the property to sort of get the property or the house sited properly, would be a field stone. Sort of try to keep it as natural and informal as we can. Heights of some of those retaining walls, without getting too deep into those weeds there, we go from about 5'8" on the left-hand side, and they diminish down to around 4 feet. And we really tried to use the walls and the contours and leveling off of portions of it to help screen the parking court, which is where the car is shown on the far right of this rendering, and the garage doors from the street as well. So that a lot of that, we have a drive that will run up the right side of the property and then access a parking court. That mass, the gray mass on the right, would be finished as proposed, white trimmed with a stained shingle, cedar shingle. We've tried to even break up some of we have a pent roof over the garage bays. There's 3 bays there that would be finished in a black with a standing metal seam roof in a dark gray. Again, just trying to bring up some different materials, again, to help break the masses down. Doug, if we go to the rear again, you can see we introduced the standing metal seam roof there as well. And its cladding is a little simpler. We've done just a simple white painted board, a vertical board actually applied to that material. So again, it's almost looking like if it was a barn structure that got converted to a living wing. And again, chimney would be a fieldstone chimney mass to match some of the retaining walls. Pool would be a sort of a dark, what sometimes I call a French blue finish to a gray, and the stonework as proposed, at least in the renderings, we're looking at sort of a blue mist granite. What we're not showing here is obviously there'll be a code compliant fence, which I believe is going to screen all of this from the road anyway, but we wanted to give the board the opportunity to just get a sense of how the building comes together, and leaving the fence out actually allows you to read a little bit more of the structure. For some clarity on as we look at the main mass, Doug, can you highlight the screen porch? That's a screen porch on the far left. That's just a 3-season porch that's screened in for some additional outdoor living. I have more specific questions I can address. We do have an outbuilding at the property, which is the cabana by the pool. I think that's visible in one of in our rendering in the upper right there. That building's about 281 square feet of footprint. Its height's about 15 feet. It too would be shingled in a gray stain to match the garage wing, just to draw that material back through again. Roof pitches vary from mostly are 10. We have a few at 8, just to try and bring those ridge heights down a little bit further. Ridge heights, just to touch on that, they vary from a high. We have the garage gable, excuse me, I'll back up, from 30 feet 10 inches, and they vary down to 23 feet. Again, depending, we don't have a level playing field here. Obviously, the grade is constantly changing around the building. So depending on where you measure from on that average mean grade, you'll get at various ridge heights. But we have done the calculations to make sure that we are compliant to the Hingham codes for ridge height limitations. The gross floor area of the building itself is about 5,600 square feet, with all living spaces then calculated, which when we did an analysis of other homes in the neighborhood, we found the larger homes, certainly in the greater context, including the Serafini's home on the corner, we're actually still under many of those homes in terms of their gross square footage. And I think that begins to put a wrap on it. We really appreciate your time this evening. We know it's a lot to take in, but I'm happy to entertain questions.
I think it's an interesting project in that it is a a brand new residence. And so therefore, the elements of appropriateness, we have to look very closely at those, because that would be very different than what is, on the rest of the street. So I'm just encouraging everybody to, look at this as a new construction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would, I'm assuming it's gonna require a site visit.
Story
So-
pole.
And story poles. I'm looking at Google Street View. There's a lot of trees on this site. That's not our purview, but it looks like a lot's being removed for this home. And how much of the site are the grades changing? When I look at the site plan, it looks like the septic's in the front. That's what's pushing the house back. How much grading is being proposed?
It's a complicated answer. There's a fair amount of site manipulation. Crocker has worked very closely with us to sort of design around those grades. But the first floor elevation at the main entrance is at 36 feet 8 inches. So for context, you can see the black represents the existing contours. The red represents the manipulated contours. And again, at 38.5 feet, we're trying to stay away from the contours that approach 77 and downward. If there is a spot on this property where it starts to, I wouldn't say level off, but it's less severe than the west side portion of the property, and it's a little bit more manageable. So the combination of the retaining walls and the regrading around the structure itself is what we're trying to accommodate there. It might be in situations like this, we've done some site sections that can show existing grade as proposed grade through a building. Sometimes that's easier to read. Whatever is best for the board to address the question.
Yeah, if I can interject, it's Jeff Toccio. We've filed for site plan review with the planning board for both of the lots, and that will be within their purview. If you take a look just in a general way of answering, you can see how much of the lot is retained by doing this. So some of that steep part in the front is where we're actually able to site the house. And then if you take a look over to further that south, you can see, Doug, if you could pick that up, just how much of the lot remains untouched. So that's an 1.5 acre lot.
Zoom out a hair.
Yeah, if you could.
Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, so that gives you an idea of what's been retained. And then as part of the site plan review, we also have to go in. We've done a survey of the existing trees over a certain caliber, et cetera. So we'll be doing that with them. What their big issue is going to be, or I think the challenge for this lot, has to do with just the drainage that comes down between the combination of some of the ledge and then also some of the slopes in between the two lots. Historically, there's some old drainage, which is in there that deceased Mr. Brewer actually installed years ago. And that's identified as part of the drainage that was considered when they put Alexandra Way in back in, I don't know if it was the 80s or the 90s. So it's got an interesting drainage profile that this works well with. Additionally, we had to get the septic systems in. So everything works, from percolation, all the setbacks. And then this winds up being a situation where we could site this house in an optimal spot. And then if you go back to just the rendering, one of the things that we were able to achieve that worked out really well is we're able to, the word grounding. This is grounded really well on the lot. We kind of get an average, and it sits really well, as opposed to being something that's just kind of propped up, overly elevated, which maybe something that some other architects or site designers would try. One of the things that we're able to accomplish here is to actually get this grounded really well on a grade that relates well to the grade of the cul-de-sac.
I mean, part of what's that's all great background information. Thank you. But part of the reasoning for the question is trying to understand why the house is pushed back so far. That's one of the items that this board has, some purview over with how it relates to other structures on the street. This is now pushed pretty far back, and it looks like it's because of the septic.
Yeah.
We don't have purview over that. I'm seeing this driveway right on the, is the red line the setback line?
No, that's the property line on the north side. North.
If I may, Tracy, we
Sure.
really had almost, once we really defined the parameters and limitations of the lot, we could not, because I asked, as a designer, asked all the same questions. And if it benefited us, we explored all the options if we pull the building forward. In the end, Gabe was very definitive. He has, and that's why we included the graphic, the septic can only go there. And that's driven by a number of things. It's actually where it's most, where it percolates, it's most level. We can't get up into the ledge, which is up behind us. So when you start to put all that into place, and there's another drainage field north on this plan that we had to accommodate. So when you put all that together, that's really why we're at 120. Now we're 120 feet back, but that said, I feel that the building is so unique to Home Meadows that actually having it back is not, I feel it's actually a benefit to the street, given the scale of the structure and not having it pressed up against Home Meadows and have that same relationship, because it's so unique from all the other homes that were built in the mid-50s. I think it's more appropriate. In some ways, one might interpret it that this structure might predate the development of Home Meadows and the ranches that were built in the mid-50s, given its historic, the character and sort of the story that we're trying to tell here. So it's driven by a lot of environmental conditions, but in some ways, once we started moving forward with the design, we thought actually, given the scale of the home and its character, it might be more appropriate that it sort of sits back from the road. It's a little quieter.
Yeah, and Tracy, I'll offer in preparation, assuming that this is going to a second night, we can get that information and include that as part of our presentation to show you where those elements are and how they contribute to the placement of the house.
Yeah, I think having some of that information is helpful because, how far it's set back, where the driveway is, the orientation of the garage. I think those are those are at least some of the comments that I and others are going to have. Anyone else have any?
Well, I would say that a site visit with story poles laying out the corners of the structure would be very, very helpful. But I'll also jump in and make one comment that some of the renderings, some of the windows look remarkably modern, especially black trim, those very large glass panels.
You want to go back to the rendering, Doug? Sure.
I'll make one comment that I think the structure of the house really looks wonderful in this view to me. Be interested to see how it sits on the site with story poles. But those very large windows, I mean, it looks very, very modern.
Justin, are you talking about the lower left?
I'm looking at the connection right there, right where you're gesturing, and also the windows to the left that are part of, gosh, I don't know how to refer to that.
The
Yes,
sun,
right
the
where you're,
screen porch, yeah.
exactly. And if those could have more of a historic character, that would make a tremendous difference.
Yeah, Justin, the ones on the left would be screen panels.
Okay.
The ones on the right, I think you cited, is certainly more contemporary. I think, again, it's part of the story that we're hoping to tell, that by introducing the large glazing, it's not an historic structure. We're not trying to Disneyland this, that there are contemporary elements that my clients are very interested in having as part of the design. And we felt that those elements and the way we used them specifically in that garage mass creates these breaks and these links to sort of break the mass up. So you read the garage mass, and then you read the additional masses as you make your way back to the structure itself.
Yeah, I can see what you mean by the breaking up that structure, and that is a positive aspect. Is there any, without deciding one way or the other on the windows structure themselves, would there be openness to colors other than black on the window trim?
Yeah, good question. It certainly would entertain it. We thought that the black would actually quiet the windows down a little bit more. We thought being white, I find a white sashed window, even in a 2/2 configuration here, can read a little busy. We like the black shutter. So it's really a black and white scheme, obviously with some tones of gray. There's 3 colors here. So we thought with the white, it might read a little flat. And with the black sash might give us a little bit more depth. The black sash is not totally uncommon.
You go shower up.
But it's something we could explore.
Andrea, may I ask you something?
Sure.
Is Alexander Way part of the historic district back there?
Alexandra Way, no.
Okay, so we don't need to worry about what it looks like from the back. Just this angle.
And it also appears that it seems like there are enough trees there that it would be screening the appearance from Alexandra Way.
Part of it goes up pretty close. I'd like to request on page A2-4, the bottom picture, panoramic view from the street. If someone clever could take that picture and sketch in the house as it will appear when you come in that street.
Carol, where is that?
The bottom picture.
Yep.
Right. If someone could sketch in basically where the house, just give us a sense of the scale. Doesn't have to be detailed, but that would be really helpful to see what the other houses on the street are going to picture from there. And
it's
okay.
A distorted image though, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It should be easy to do. Yeah.
We could make an effort to do that. It's a panoramic, so you can see Home Meadows is actually a straight road.
Right.
You can see the photo, it's bending.
Or another picture,
just
whatever
fine.
picture you want, but just so we can see from the street what it'll look like.
Yeah. Mark, I know what Carol's looking for.
Thanks, Jeff.
And can you just kind of set the expectations of the story polls? I mean, we've done it with you at least once before. I have next door with the number of trees, and there's still leaves at least for the next week or two. I think if we can't, construct an eave and it's solely like corner poles, making sure that the heights of where the ground floor would be and where the roof line would be, like, I realize that the existing site with the trees may limit. This is more like corner staking than true story poles, but getting an idea of the elevations.
Yeah, we certainly can make an effort to do that. Story poles will appear probably in some cases short because the grade hasn't been manipulated yet.
Mhm.
Because the structure is sort of sunken into the lot in many ways. It's actually mostly a subtractive proposal. So we'll do our best to try and frame up, I guess, that profile I think you're looking for, and establishing maybe some markers which would locate first floor elevation and elements of that nature. And not only I guess we'll address the front facade, but I think some markers to locate obviously the garage and the far, to the right, if you will, as viewed.
Just marking the corners would go a long way.
Yeah. And then I think we'll create a what we call sometimes a staking sheet, so you know what you're looking at as it relates to a plan.
Great.
Sure.
I have a few things I'd like to add, please. I'm feeling like even just that that the massing of this there's such a contrast between the other, I think there's 4 homes on Home Meadows that just are from the 60s and 50s, that this just seems gargantuan. It even seems gargantuan next to the new addition home that's going to the right of it, and 3 Home Meadows. The massing just feels overwhelming to me, honestly, and maybe the site will feel more terraced once it's completed, but I'm having a really hard time getting over this massive barn. It just feels like you could fit all the houses on Home Meadows inside this. I would say also, that's the scale of it and the mass of it for the neighborhood does not feel appropriate at all to me. And I feel like the driveway, just a ton of asphalt there. Maybe it won't be, maybe it will feel like less, but it just feels, because you won't see, some of it will be behind a retaining wall, but it feels like a lot of asphalt. So that's another concern I would have.
All right, Catherine, we'll work on addressing those issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
I'd like to add something of what Justin was saying about those windows. If you just try looking at the sketch of the house, those windows are distracting, and not in a kind of whimsical way. They're like, what the hell is going on back there? It just doesn't. Is there any other way you can get what you're trying to accomplish, more light in that area or something, with a different configuration of a little bit more classical looking windows? That's just distracting. And such a beautiful home.
It really is a beautiful
big and impressive,
structure
and it's
there.
like, what is going on back there?
Yeah, there's
so may I ask real quick, just Carol, which windows?
Between the barn and the house, it looks like.
Okay, I got, okay.
Square
Yep,
windows.
so-
Yeah,
So
I mean, I
what
guess the
Justin-
other side is the porch, and I think that's sort of self-explanatory, but right there, it's so distracting, and I can't look away from it. You look at the picture and you're seeing the house for the first time, you're going to stare at those windows and think, is that a
it's
dance
hard to
studio?
tear your eyes away. Yeah.
It's a dance studio in there or something. What's going on there? Which is beautiful, big classic house. So just if you have any other ideas that might accomplish what you're trying to do.
Sure, thank you. We'll review.
I mean, it also looks like a city sort of facade. Yeah.
I think if I could just add, my thoughts are consistent with the recent comments from the commission members, and and I would just add on top of that is the massing of this garage behind the house. And I know this is just one view, but it looks like there's a house behind a house here, and so if there's a way to break that up a bit with the garage, make that structure a little smaller. I think the main body of the house, I think, seems to be heading in the right direction, but that barn and that connection in the back there just puts this thing way out of scale, I think.
Is it a 3-car garage?
It is, Andrea.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I echo Mr. Collard's comments. It seems like the main body of the house would have been there, and then at some point or another, the garage addition was done and attached to that main body of the house, and there was no historic district to, review it, and it was just done on its own. I think that connection, the roof line also, that's very heavy across the roof, and then it's like Mr. Collard said, it's like, is that another building behind there, or is it another house? It's just reads a really heavy and anchors that portion of the building in your eyes to that.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel.
Any other comments from the commission? I don't think I should have asked about any neighbors or anything. Anyone from the neighborhood?
Hello,
Yep, yes.
Art Shavo. I live in 8 Home Meadows Lane, one of those historically insignificant houses that the architects referred to on one of the prior meetings. Well, I'm glad they're doing a unique home. It does look beautiful. But my comments only at this time, because I'm sure the board will bring up any problems or things they see that aren't quite right. But I can remember Mrs. Brewer sitting over her garage on her back porch. And if she looked out at this house with all the trees gone, I could see her rolling her eyes. But other than that, good luck. I think it's going to be a journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Shabo, I'd like to ask, I'm sorry, I don't recall a comment about the architectural insignificance of, so I'm sorry if that was something that someone said, but
The architects said it.
I don't know that I would have actually said insignificant, to be honest, for the
Well,
record.
to be honest, my memory is perfect.
Well, I want to just address your comment. I'm actually a big fan of a mid-century design. In fact, I own a mid-century home. So they have their place. We're not drawing from that vernacular for this neighborhood, given the scale of the lot, scale of the property, and the program that we're trying to accommodate. They were built at a different time and reflect a different period, of course, and I think they're beautiful in themselves. And I mean that honestly, I really do. I have a mid-century home elsewhere, and I prize it. So please, I hope you didn't take any offense to the remark. I don't think I would have phrased it that way, but I think our point being is that that's not the context that we're drawing from. We're trying to draw from other elements really along the historic district, not specifically from Home Meadows. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Of course.
Thank you.
So if there's no other comments, I think, Andrew, you're trying to set up
A site visit?
2 weeks, or I think it's
Well, let me, I'll have to really look at the calendar because we've got another meeting on the 21st of October. And I think I would have to discuss site visits there, and then site visits for anything continued from this hearing.
Okay.
So I guess I would get back to you then, Jeff and Mark and.
Yeah, okay, that's great. If the 16th is on, a possible, I think we could make that work, but we'll talk to you, Andrea. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, thanks.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, everyone. We appreciate your time, and your comments were excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Right. Next on the agenda, 349 Main Street. Replacement of windows. Who is the representative?
Hi, good
John
evening.
Day.
Hi, good evening. Hi, Andrea. Hi, board members and commission members. Thank you. We are back again. You've seen this project. We have a previously approved addition renovation. This component is the homeowner's request to replace the main house windows. We have previously approved wooden painted historic detail and sash windows in the areas of new work and replacing some vinyl windows that were in there. I can certainly share the application if that's easiest, Andrea, but we've highlighted the windows. Part of it was a budgetary concern to not ask when we were here the first time to replace the windows. I think they've now come to see that in doing all this work, some significant upgrade needs to occur. We've put in photos of them. They're in poor and in many instances, probably not irreparable condition. They've got metal L brackets securing some of the corners where they've rotted out. They were not mahogany. They were originally pine windows. They do appear to be original. They're 2/1. And most of them are painted shut. So they were broken over the years trying to open them. And so stripping them and reglassing them and the like. They're in pretty poor repair. They were going to do new storms and resolve that. But more of the interior of the house is being taken out. So if there is a time to do it, with the siding and the trim that's been approved to be replaced on the rest of the house and the wooden roof, that's their ask. I can certainly share if that's easiest. Let me just pull this up.
Yeah,
While
that'd
you're
be cool.
organizing that. Oh, Andrea, can I ask you a quick question while he's getting the screen share? Where do we stand on the whole window inventory and assessing conditions of current windows and that kind of thing? How Ben normally does that, had done that for us for a long time, and could we get him to do that again?
Probably. He probably would, just because he's such a good guy. But I think, yeah, now Mike and Tracy did go over, we had a request to look at the GAR hall, and that and the current windows in there, because they're considering replacing their windows. There hasn't been a formal application yet, but you know, Tracy and Mike went over there to do that. So I think you know, it depends on whether the board everybody wants to go, or to look at the windows, or leave it to you know, and Daniel, sure, would be another opportunity for someone to go over there too. So we have a lot of firepower.
No, I guess I'm just thinking not in terms of their condition, but more, you know, he's got the know-how on how the parts all work, and the actual hands-on done it. I'm sure the other guys have too, but maybe not to Ben's expertise. So that was mine. Didn't want to discount anybody there.
Okay, Catherine, we'll make sure we get it right. Good point.
Andrea, is there any thought that these are original at all?
They're a mixture. It appears that a number of them are original. In fact, the ones that are in the worst condition, and that a number of sashes have been replaced. What we see is that some of the weight pockets are not vintage, and so work has been done, and it looks like there are sashes that are not vintage either. So you may recall the house here, the main body, and construction is currently underway. These are the main house windows. They're 2/1. The trim and siding is to be replaced to exactly match original and in cedar and hardwoods. And then these windows currently have storms.
The reason I wanted to ask you is, didn't we say this house is 1880 something? Or am I thinking of a different one?
This house is a mixture of years.
The original front.
Yeah, the original front, correct.
It's what?
It appears that most of them have probably 50s plate glass. None of them seem to have a historic float glass in them still, that has a wave to it. It looks like that has been replaced and reglazed over the years. very few seem to be untouched.
Well,
I'll
the
show
reason I
you
asked is not,
photos here.
to me, they clearly have to go, but I'm more concerned that we put the right style window back in. And everything I keep reading says that the big lower pane, if you're going to do 2/1, is not appropriate until about 1910 or 20, when they came up with a way to make those long plates of glass, and that this era should really be 2/2. How does that sound?
Highly plausible. I can't say I'm certain off the top of my head. These windows, some look older than others. Certainly, you can see that a lot of them, the joints have come apart. All the screw pins here, they're actually really just painted shut, and they've been degraded so much over the years. And these homeowners work their way around the house to get things operable. Most of these are in this very similar condition, and so you can see on the inside as well, a lot of them have the sticking has been replaced or come off. Some have vinyl liners in them, inside, not out. And you can see here that a lot of this looks to have been replaced, and they're fairly thin sashes. So I think they've been rebuilt over the years, but they're all cracking and they just don't have much structural integrity.
This could be a rare opportunity. We don't often get so many windows being replaced at once. And I think your pictures make it clear they've got to go, but
here they are here.
Often what we do is try to let the homeowner go back to replacing some to match what's already still left there. I think it's a unique opportunity to get the era right for this house, which would be.
Hence that 2/2. I think reading into Carol's question, is the homeowner open to that?
Since so many have to be replaced.
There they are there. So that would be, that to your point, Carol, that would be that window style. There are 24 of these. We've matched the rear windows, but we have not put in the full order in order to engage this conversation. We'd like to order it at once. And so the rear windows here are matching the front existings, because that was the conversation. I think they would. They like the historic nature of the house. They want it to be historically appropriate. As the builder started to review this and run through the optionality for repairing these windows versus replacing them and ultimate performance, it became pretty clear that you have everything in quite good order except the windows. You can see here in yellow, we've highlighted the windows to be that are current, were actually in our previous conversation not replaced. And so then they're highlighted here on plan as well, which is repetitive, but that shows you them in the rooms.
So many of them, yeah.
There are a lot of them, and they're all in generally equally poor condition and operation. What we've put for a request and a replacement is actually a nicer window than a Marvin Historic. It's a LePage, which are the mahogany windows that you approved at 8 Pond Street across the street. A recent project in the neighborhood. They're actually underway in being installed, or maybe they're completely done now. So these are a true mahogany painted historic style window with all of the detailing and the like. So here's your view of them. So they're actually a very nice window and a nicer product than others. And so they are double hungs. I don't believe the homeowners are able to be on this evening. They have the witching hour with many children. And so I could certainly ask them, and we could take a look at 2/1s. Here you can see this is a different vintage house of 12/1s, which is a much older condition. I don't
inappropriate.
They did that, a little odd, but that's the detail and the window with the historic sash, the horns, the glazing, and the OG on the interior, and the true widths and the like to meet that condition and your guidelines.
And LePage makes it 2/2.
They do. They'll make what we like, what we ask for. Yes, they're very, very nice window. So that would be this detail here, which I think we don't have any original photos of this house that we could come up with. We did look initially. We haven't found anything that's of age for this home. And it was renovated in probably the 1920s. There was that substantial addition in the back and then the garage. So if windows were replaced, to your point, that was probably the time that they did a 2/1 or other sashes, as maybe they aged over 40 years. I bet they didn't last that long initially. And so that's their, hopefully for all of that, that's the final request and the final thing. They're under construction and eager to progress and hopefully improve the exterior view and quality.
It's going to be beautiful.
Want to make a motion, somebody? Or any other questions?
Does anyone have any other comments? We're good.
I'm just wondering if, I mean, we haven't done what we usually do, which is it always requires a site visit to replace windows.
I thought you all went out there. I thought.
No, I'm sorry. I was not clear.
Oh.
So that's my fault. They have not been out there.
Oh.
Yeah, and again, to your first comment, Catherine, about the inventory, we're looking at a handful of photos. We're not looking at all 24. Doesn't mean all 24 don't need to be replaced. It's also a simulated divided light being proposed, which did we approve the LePage for the addition, or do we approve a Marvin on the addition?
We approved a Marvin, and they've asked to keep it consistent and actually upgrade to a nicer window. The ones across the street are the LePage simulated with the full interior mutton bar.
What was the circumstance there, though? Does anyone help me recall that? Weren't those?
I don't
know.
know.
Special circumstance. It was something.
Michael, maybe you can help me with that, because I know that we discussed this at length, and that was not what we approved originally. Those windows, I can say there was some indication or evidence that the windows that were in the main house had been replaced in the 70s. However, and there was a mishmash of simulated divided light, one replaced fairly recently, well, within the last 3 years or so, or 4 years. But the front was a single pane, true divided light. And it was actually Ben Wilcox who described how he was going to do this. And that's where I need help, Mike. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think he may have been building custom frame around it. And I think it was a sash. The sash was from LePage, but I think the way he was constructing the window was more consistent with the traditional original frame. But I think the combination of the way he was detailing it and the fact that, it appeared that those windows that were there previously were probably from the late 60s, that together, I think, was the reason why we approved those windows in that application.
We could go certainly to in a 2/1, you have one divide. The bottom window is there's no simulation nor real division. It's just a large sheet of glass. In looking this up a moment ago, 2/1s were available in the time period, but they were much more expensive than smaller divisions because of the size of glass, and it became more common later. They could make sheets that big, but they were pricey. I don't know what the original condition was, and these were probably done in the 20s when the house had that addition and renovation on the back that we found, as well as some garage. So it seems to be a substantial rework at that point. And the weight and the chain and the cord and the weights don't look 1800s. They certainly are a mix mash of newer. I would anticipate that if it's an order of condition, that having a true divided light upper sash in a 2 pane condition is is totally suitable and doable. You know, it's not 12 small panes of glass, which can be kind of heavy and problematic, you know, that certainly runs the price point up, but that's not the conversation really. It's more about what you deem appropriate. So I don't think they would have an issue with that.
So is there consensus we should, some of us or some go to the site, or do we want to make a motion with for the applicant to either do a simulated divided 2/2 or a true divided 2/1?
I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. So we're talking an all wood window that would be, I mean, in the past, I don't think we have ever taken out a historic window, even from the 1920s. That's still in our range of a historic.
Right.
And replaced it with a simulated or a true divided light, right?
If it could be repaired.
If it could be repaired, right. So, I mean, in the past, I think we've always asked for a wood window with a storm panel of some kind. And so I need help from my people here.
I was just curious if, given that they're already in construction, are they pressed for an answer tonight, or do they have time within their schedule and where they're at?
Well, windows are running so long right now. There's limited time within the schedule, and this meeting was moved to a third. This is the third night of the meeting, right? It was moved from Yom Kippur to last week to this week, so or weeks out. So, are they pressed? Yes. You know, is that real world reality? Yes. So, you know, if there's more time required, then they're certainly reasonable. We're about a month past where we started with the conversation, so I know they're anxious. I don't know if they're pressed. The order would like to go in soon because they're under construction and windows are running anywhere from 15 to 25 weeks right now, just in the marketplace. So that's their reality.
You're
muted, Catherine.
Sorry. I feel comfortable with Tracy and Daniel and Michael going out and doing an assessment. And I mean, I would like to see kind of how all the windows are, not just the selected ones. That seems to be due diligence in my mind.
And that's an even cross section. Probably a third of them are in the poorest condition. Another third are in the middle condition there, and the other third are right behind them. Some are operable, but they've been tuned over the years. And I would say 2/3 of them, and certainly the site super and the builder are there, and they can meet at your convenience. I would say 2/3 of those are pretty much irreparable, or if they come out, there is an entirely new condition built and put back in that isn't really the same window because they just don't operate. They just fall out of the sashes and things. So that's easy.
And I thought I heard you say also that the windows that were in better shape, but the sashes might have been entirely replaced.
Very, very possible. And so, yeah, they don't really operate. We're used to the vinyl windows around the house that we are taking out, obviously, from the other rounds of work, and that was opened and operable.
So do we have the inventory sheet that we're handing out, Andrea? Because maybe that would be useful to those that do go out to.
Yeah, definitely. I can get that. Plus, I think there's another question back to Carol's original point about, you know, 2/2 versus the 2/1 that exists. And, you know, John suggested that 2/1s were used. So I don't know. We have to, I think we have to clarify that. Plus we have to ask the homeowners what they would prefer in terms of, you know, if there is an option.
Sure, we went to the match, match existing, which I think is kind of the standard protocol. But
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd be open to the conversation and to do what's historically sensitive and appropriate. I have
So,
an
Andrew,
1880s Greek revival with two of the ones that are original, but they're not as big as some of these windows, so it's hard to say.
So I guess that's my question here. Like, I know that we have great resources with Daniel and Tracy and Michael, but Ben was really our dater. And windows he was a dating guy. He could actually look at the construction and figure out if they were true to the house or if they were later additions. And so I guess I'm feeling like we don't have that info and we might not.
John, do you know if the glass is plate glass or if it's blown?
There is very little floated glass in the house. Most of it is plate. And I suspect, 95% of it. There are a couple that have a little bit of a waffle and a wave to them. In the upper sashes, I suspect most of them have been replaced over the period of its life.
Yeah, plate glass didn't get here until probably the 80s. It started late 1850s in France and didn't get here for a little while. So that's one of the big things that you can use to help date it.
Yeah.
So Andrew, we're 2 weeks from our next meeting. Has the agenda been posted? Is there any way to get?
Well, I can post a continued meeting. I can't post a brand new one, but this would be, I could add this to that. It would be a continuation. So on the 21st.
Yeah.
I can add this to the agenda.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay.
Daniel, Michael, and I we'll coordinate time through you. We can get out there. Are they living in the home or have they?
They are not. The house is fully gutted.
So during the day we can meet the contractor over there or?
Most definitely.
All right.
Should I contact you to set that up, John?
Sure, I can loop us in. Yeah, and then
Okay.
whatever dates are convenient for the commission, I can make sure that they're there every day. So.
All right. All right. So then we'll set up that visit. Inventory the windows as best we can. And maybe get some input from the owner on the 2/2 versus 2/1 and
Great, I'll communicate with them on that ahead of time, ahead of the next meeting in a few weeks, and we'll have
maybe if that communication could take up the schedule, the window schedule that we were discussing, it might make conversations clear.
Sure.
All right.
Great. Okay, thank you. We'll connect by email and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Great.
Great. Enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you, everyone.
Right next, 38 Lincoln Street. We have
John, is that John D'Angelo?
Yes. Hi, Andrea.
Hi. Can we see you or not?
It's saying you can't, but I'm trying to.
Oh, that's okay. Well, look, I'll try and, oh, yippee. Look who's here. I see Mr. Kearney.
Yes, my son Danny.
Hi, Danny.
Hi.
And so we may not be able to see John for this one. This is this the Fox residence?
Yes.
Or okay? So let me see if I can get the anything put up on the screen. You all have the yeah, you have what we sent out, correct? Everybody?
Yes,
Which shows the side porch.
Audio.
All right. Having a little bit of difficulty with this. I think we'll just have to use our own copies that we have. So John, do you want to run us through that?
Yeah, so this is an existing porch on the side of 38 Lincoln Street. It's in fairly bad disrepair. It has no footings. It's somewhat pulling off the house and it's been doing so for years. The overhangs are rotted and the floor is sagging in the middle. So what we're proposing to do is to support the existing roof structure. Take out the existing windows, take out the existing floor, pour some new concrete footings below grade, set a new pressure treated floor. This porch sits on the ground. It sits physically on the ground. There's no distance to speak of below it. Install a new floor, put in new corner posts and install new windows and then replace all the trim pretty much like it exists now with the frieze, the overhangs, the planches, the fascias, the gutters. The attempt is going to be made to leave the existing flat rubber roof in place. So that's pretty much the extent of the work.
So it's mainly replacing kind, same colors, same details, same trim.
Exactly.
So it'll look the same.
Well, the only caveat to that is right now it has Anderson crank out fiberglass windows in it. And they would like to replace those with a double hung unit with simulated divided light. Well, true divided light, but simulated with the grills applied on the inside and the outside, as opposed to the crank out windows. So there's a little sketch there that's showing that elevation. Right now there's 7 windows. I've changed it to 6 just to keep it uniform. There's 1 in the back and 4 on the front.
And those are the did you say they're fiberglass? So are those applied?
Those are clad windows now. The existing windows are an Anderson crank out awning type of window or a casement window as they're called. So they're Anderson and they're,
Are they snap-ins?
they're snap-in grills. Yeah, they're just applied on the inside.
There we
And the
go.
windows don't really work. So what we'd like to do is it's an Anderson product. So, but we would have applied exterior and interior grills that are historically the correct size, but in a double hung as opposed to the crank outs, because the crank outs just are zero historic value.
And the existing window is aluminum clad, you said?
It's a vinyl clad, plastic clad type of material right now.
And the new windows would be?
The same type of material.
Anderson vinyl?
Yes.
And they show from the front of the house, don't they? They're right on the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do show to the left side of the front of the house. Yeah, they present to Lincoln Street.
Would you consider a better window, all wood?
I can have that discussion with the client. The rest of the house is wood. We did a addition for this customer to the back half of the house many years ago. We used all the wood windows there as well, but these are existing in an Anderson unit. So I don't know what how you move forward of that, getting away from that, if that's something that we have to do or not.
Well, if they're vinyl and with the snapping grills, you would be entitled to put the same thing back. But this is where we hope for a improvement. So I don't know if you want to look at. They're entitled to have vinyl.
My feeling that these windows are an enormous improvement over what is currently there. So I believe asking to put in a wood window doesn't feel quite right to me, but I think this looks like a very appropriate and great improvement.
Any other questions or comments?
I would be inclined to issue a certificate of appropriateness and hope for an improvement in the windows, but I think it would be the homeowner's choice.
Well, there won't be printouts.
We will definitely have that conversation.
There's no other comments. Does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead, Justin. I already did one tonight. Your turn.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion for 38 Lincoln Street to replace existing porch walls, leaving existing roof, installing new footings. The new porch will be the same size and footprint as the original. Can we say that trim will be wood, colors will be as existing, and that windows will be replaced at least in kind?
Well,
In terms of material, but
In
not,
terms of,
yeah. They're double hung.
and so they would be replaced with
double hung.
double hung.
One last question. All the materials will be wood and there's no coma or AZAC involved in this project?
Not at the current time. The only question would be at the bottom of at the ground contact level. That would be the only piece, which would be the same as, say, a kickboard or a stoop board where it would physically touch the ground. But other than that, no, everything else is wood.
Okay.
All right, so I could amend that motion to say ground contacting materials may be synthetic.
Thank you.
One last thing, there's some lighting here that it came separately. Was that with this project?
The next one.
The lighting, that's for the next project.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
There's a second.
Second.
All right. Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Daniel, how do you vote?
Aye.
That's an aye for me. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Okay.
All right, last. They all want that fast and smooth, huh? I've had an exciting
What
first
fun is
couple
that?
of months.
Really to bed.
All right, we're back.
I just have a question for Al. Is this the son that was in the service?
What's that, Andrea?
Your son Danny, was he in the?
Yes, he was in the service, yes.
Oh, well, thank you for your service, Danny.
Yeah, he was in for six years, so thank you, Andrea.
Okay, well, much appreciated. Thank you.
Nice, thank you.
All right, 38 Fairing Road, continuation.
Andrea, all I have is the pictures of the lanterns and stuff.
Oh, no, I sent out, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring them up. I sent out Al submitted drawings, so.
Yeah, we've got soft copies that were emailed and they look
Yeah,
wonderful.
you got soft copies of the, the architectural elements, but let me just bring up the drawings because I emailed them today. They were a PDF, Carol.
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah, you may not have seen them.
I was on drugs.
Okay. Let me just,
So where do these go to? Was it another house?
no,
No.
that's this house.
It's this house?
Mm-hmm. Hold on, let me just. Okay, let's see. 38 Fearing, here we go. All right, let me just, here we go, share screen. And okay, is that Are we there? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you want me to go, Al?
Let's see. I first off want to apologize for not having attended the last few meetings, and thank John for stepping in. Thank you, John. So I'm a little bit behind the 8 ball, but I guess we're at the point where we're discussing chimneys and doors and some of the lighting and some of the brackets and some of the roof structures of the side entrance. So I think we're okay with the massing and the window design, the overall
Yeah,
big picture items. So again, I'm a little bit
I
catching
think
up here.
the few items remaining from last time were there was questions on that front chimney, the one that's exterior, of whether it was going to stay, whether it was going to go, whether it was historic, whether it was repairable. There was some questions on the new side entrance and the size and appropriateness of the roof overhang and bracketing. And then I don't remember how we ended with the new chimney on the backside. There was some comments about the size and the shape, and then I know Carol spoke at the end that she actually liked this proposal. Not to put words in Carol's mouth, but
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
so, and it looks like we're keeping it as we saw it last time. So I think those are the main. Oh, and the door, the side door was not drawn correctly, I don't believe, last time. So there was questions of whether it was how it was going to relate to the front door.
And I think
those were the
in
main
general,
items.
the drawings just have been cleaned up and details sort of finalized, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this was, Catherine, your comment about the overhang here. I think that's been taken care of. It no longer hangs
Yeah,
over the.
exactly. It doesn't hang over the corner board of the main house, and it seems to, has it gotten shorter?
Yep.
Narrower, shallower?
Yep.
I
It
think
no longer engages the front portion of the house. Looks
And
like
then it
there's-
looks less like a main front entrance.
And that's it up at the front right corner. That's showing it sort of very simple.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a little confusing because I guess the original windows are in there from the original body of the house. So it's a little hard on the
Yeah, it's a
eye.
little bit.
But I think.
Yeah, there's a layer there that hasn't been turned off, but if you can
Yeah.
see beyond
Yeah,
that.
it looks, I think it looks much more appropriate. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, because I was sort of trying to match the front porch profile, and it was sort of forced, and the smaller side entrance roof structure is much more appropriate for this house. So thank you for that feedback.
John, you had, you met with somebody regarding whether one of the chimneys needed to be taken out or could stay, is that correct?
Correct. The points that we were walking through from the last meeting included the front door shown with the arch, that's been changed. The side entrance, it has a new 2-light over 2-panel. The bracketry, which you guys all got a copy of the brackets in the packet, and a cut sheet of the door, and there's a couple of cut sheet choices of the windows as well. The front chimney, back to that, was the last item on my list that I think was in the box to check off for this quick get together. And the chimney is not salvageable. So I did bring a licensed mason with many, many, many years of experience. We got into it, got underneath it. It has no support. It has no base, actually. It is crumbling from the outside down. It's pulling away from the house, and the firebox needs to have work done, and the inner liners have separated. So it's pretty much a total loss.
This one, John.
Yeah, if it came down, if it was to be repaired, it would need to come down. So we're just saying, take it down. It's not worth repairing.
Okay.
So was that going to be a gas fireplace or no fireplace now, or what was?
That was going to stay in the new interior layout in the kitchen as a wood burning fireplace for just a focal point. But it has very little structural integrity left to it. It's really just ejecting bricks in different locations. And it's really starting to come apart. There was no real physical way to save it because we would have to dig underneath it and go down 4 feet and install a footing for it. That would mean that we'd have to take off the porch roof, the porch deck, remove some of the siding, and it just got to the point where it just wasn't financially viable, and it doesn't have use, and it's not original to the house. That was the real thing, is we pretty
So the
much could
homeowners are
guarantee
not
it
looking
wasn't.
to replace it with gas or anything like that?
No.
Okay, thank you. I do have one other question about the side entry door on the front of the house. Is that going to match the secondary door? I think it's to the left of the chimney we were just discussing. Isn't that a door?
Is this, are you talking,
No,
or this?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is that going to be?
I would say that would be the same design as the side entrance door.
Is that the one in the packet that we have?
Yes.
Can you explain that picture to me? The two blue things at the top, are they glass?
That's just the manufacturer's way they print it out on the cut sheet. That's just regular clear glass. So
Is
it's
that appropriate in an old Italianate building?
a 2 light over a two flat panel. Yes, it's showing homage to the front door, which is a 2 light curved arch with a 2 panel. And we're trying to find a Italianate door that is less impressive than the front door. It needs to be subservient to the front door. And trying to find a subservient Italianate door is very, very difficult because they only get fancier from the one that's already on the front of the house. From that point, it just gets even more festooned. So to get some natural light in there, we needed to have, wanted to have 2 lights. The drawing before that, which shows it it's showing it as a wood door and the glass is gray in that picture, but it is clear glass, not frosted glass.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the way the cut sheet prints out from the manufacturer.
It wouldn't be more appropriate to have something with just a tiny bit of etching or something to look less modern? Looks like a modern door to me.
So
We
what's
could
that
certainly,
currently, John? Currently, there's a big, what is that currently?
the front door,
The secondary front door, the one to the left of the little chimney we were just talking about. Yeah, that one.
that facade there, that is a existing window there, I believe. Alan may be able to speak to that.
Yeah, that's
better.
an existing window. We can install a door. And the door can be, it's a secondary door, so it can be similar to the new side door off the driveway with the 2 lights and the 2 panels below. That might be, I was thinking of a 9-light window there just to let some light in, but it may not be the right.
This would be the side door.
Yeah.
Is this,
I mean, I can certainly look into a door that would have some etching on the glass. I just didn't want the double tombstone top. I wanted that front door, which is gorgeous in itself, to stand out. And on the market right now, as far as a 2-light door, there's a lot of Craftsman style doors, 6 lights, 3 lights, 9 lights, none of which would fit this. So we opted to find the least detailed, most mundane 2-light, 2-panel type of backdoor situation, because it's certainly not a house that would have a 9-light or a 6-light or any type of other door. But we could, I guess,
John,
maybe we took it too far to dull it down.
I think you're on track. I think if you get into etching with a new door, you're going to end up in a bad territory. So I think you are probably better with simple.
Well, and the fact is the owners will probably put sheer curtains or something behind it anyway. That would be an awful lack of privacy. But my guess is they'll cover it anyway.
And maybe I know, John, whatever you do with the door surround, I think that'll make a big difference too. I mean, this, something that has a little more character than just this. Right?
Yep.
Agreed, for sure. I mean, it is set quite far back, and it is in a very dark, kind of hollow area.
And it was hidden by the chimney until just now. So, I mean,
That's true.
Hey, keep it up.
Yeah.
so yeah, we can. I think the appropriate answer is to maybe come up with a door that's similar to the new side entrance door with the 2 lights. Yep. That's the winner.
But it can certainly have a little bit better trim. I see the way Alan's got it drawn, it has a larger head casing on it. We could do a little bit larger on the side trim, and quite possibly, I believe, Alan, will you correct me if I'm wrong? Don't the windows have a molding around the outside edges of them now?
Oh yeah.
So we could do that as well.
Yeah, we can. Yep. And
match the existing window trim detail.
That would
that would pretty much sew it all together.
Yep.
Any other comments, questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
Ooh, I don't have my little.
Mike is good at this.
Can somebody summarize where we left off with the door? Are we suggesting modifications or leaving it?
I think
this door.
Yeah.
I think, did you not say it's going to be similar or like the side entrance door?
Yep.
Here, that's what you're gonna look for. And then John, can you just repeat what you said about what you're gonna do here around the door?
Yeah, we'd like to enlarge the trim slightly larger than the adjacent window in width. And then add, so if the existing is a 4.5, I would make it a 5.5 inch wide casing to give the door some width and some prominence. And then I would match the existing exterior windows trim surround design onto the new door trim.
All right. I'd like to make a motion for a certificate of appropriateness for 38 Fearing Road for modifications to the house that include demolition to a rear portion of the existing house and demolition of chimneys based on drawings dated October 5th, 2021. Exterior materials to be wood, new windows to be simulated divided light wood windows, details to match existing house, new front door to the right of the house to be modified from what's in the application to match the new door being added on the left-hand side of the house. Trim for this front door to be modified to match the existing window trim. Light fixtures per attached cut sheets submitted on October 7th. Looking at the drawings on my screen here, I think that covers it.
The brackets.
Andrea, can I ask one
Yeah,
simple thing? Without changing the date of these drawings, can Alan please submit you a new set of PDFs for our record with this layer turned off, the existing window layer turned off?
oh, sure.
Yep.
That
no
would be
problem.
good. Thank you.
But
I just
keep
wanted to
the
get
date-
that. I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure the chimneys were accentuated and all the other layers came with it. So it's my apology.
Yeah, it's just for record, it'd be great to have the clean elevation.
Yep.
Thank
Can
you.
I just ask, there are the two different light styles. One is going on this, the more ornate one is going on the front, is that correct?
That was up to the board's input. There was two
There are two lights, yeah.
lights. One is a hanging down type of fixture, and one is a more of a pointing up type of fixture. So I don't know if the board has, that's kind of the direction we're going with either one of these. Again, trying to find an Italianate light fixture. Not as
Where are
easy
they
as it
going, John?
sounds. Huh?
These are for either, where are they going?
To the left or the right of the rear entrance door. The door that is the side entrance door. So this would
Outside the
go to
bracket?
the left, outside the, right above the, yes, exactly. Thank you, Andrea. So there'd be one going there, and for code reasons, there'd be one somewhere on the front of some nature towards that door on the right-hand side.
On the right-hand side.
Yeah.
How big are these in scale to the door? Are they a good size?
They're fairly good size, yes. I'd say they're about 11 or 12 inch tall fixture.
Okay.
Could a ceiling mount be appropriate for the porch door? And
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Either a ceiling mount or a semi-flush, both in both locations are absolutely a possibility. And
Okay.
certainly something that we looked into. We're trying to stay away from any kind of recessed lighting up in the porch ceiling for now. And just rely on some nice fixtures. I know the client was interested in some type of semi-flush across the front of the porch ceiling where it's so dark now. So we can absolutely find something that's appropriate and give it to Andrea to run by the board before it's installed.
I think a simple ceiling mount would be better on that bracketed door, just for symmetry purposes, and also on the porch. I think it would be, there's no real place for it.
Side door?
Yeah,
The
it's very,
side door and the secondary front door.
you're 100% right. It's very tight with the brackets there. So yes, that's a great idea. And I think that's something we will definitely follow through with.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then I'll modify the motion so that applicant to resubmit light fixtures for review at a later date.
I'm sorry, also on this bracket, John, this bracket is looking very more short. It seems to be not high, but long. And the bracket shown is a bit more equally long and high. So I don't know, this has got a little different feel. So I just wanted to point that out to the commission.
The
Seen in
bracket style in the drawing that's on the screen right now looks appropriate.
Yeah,
Yes, the bracket that's on the plans that Alan has submitted, the modified brackets and the modified roof line. Yes, it is. That will be up to Alan and the engineers as to if that bracket needs to be structural. So if it can be equidistant out and up, coming out off the house and up and down vertically against the house, then that would be fine. If the bracket needs to be longer because of the depth of the porch, I believe that the arch would be too large. The bracket base would have to be much lower on the facade of the house, and it would be down about mid-door, depending on the structural necessity of that bracket. So that bracket's going to actually be holding up that roof line, and that needs to be quantified by an engineer, and it has to come from a company that designs those brackets. So the one I chose to go along with the package tonight. I put the more emphasis on the structurality of it, where it comes out further to support that roof line. I'm sure Alan can provide us with a bracket that has equidistant out and up, that would be structural appropriate.
And if it doesn't have to, it doesn't necessarily, it can also be added on to just visually with trim or whatever to create that illusion of the equidistant.
Correct, 100% doable.
Yep.
Yes, it can be. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other comments before I finalize the motion?
That was messy, sorry.
You only had to go back about 3 months as well, Mike. I remember it was like 95 degrees the day we visited this site.
Yeah, it was. Oh, it was. And the baby had a little fan in the little carriage. It was cute.
So I'd just like to add a clarification to the motion based on discussion, is that bracket for the side porch. Approval is based on drawing submitted on page A202. If that bracket detail needs to change significantly, applicant to resubmit for review.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
That's an aye for me. Motion passes.
Yay! Whose doggy is that? Oh, that's so cute.
Thank you so very much for everybody on the board, all your time and energy, making this project just right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I second that. Thank you so much. And thank you, John.
Night.
Thank you, Andrea.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
All right. Last thing for me, unless anyone has anything else, is approve the minutes from.
Minutes look good to me.
Thank you. Like I said, I'm so sorry, mea culpa, because I did send them out very, very late. And Miss Tracy did a fabulous job, as usual.
And then, Andrea, you're gonna add that continuation for.
Yes, I will add, I will continue to the 21st for the Decemberals.
Yep. All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Justin did.
I'll move to approve the minutes for, I should say, the date for the meeting of September 23, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Great.
Anyone have anything else? Carol, I hope you recover. I hope you
Thank
recover.
you. To the other guy.
Oh, actually, in the remote meetings, do we have to do a roll call even on approving the minutes?
Yeah, we do. I'm
I
sorry.
went to my
All
open
right.
meeting law training and came away with, we have to do a roll call on the minutes.
Yes, that is true.
All right. Motion to approve the minutes. Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Daniel, how do you vote?
Aye.
It's an aye for me.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Motion to
Thank you.
adjourn.
Good meeting. Thank